Alright, let's start. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. Today we continue where we left off yesterday. Yesterday I implemented a lot of stuff, some of them being DLL hot loading, so now the game code resides in a DLL and it can't interact whatsoever with the platform code anymore. And the platform code loads the DLL dynamically at runtime, and whenever we recompile it reloads the newest version. So we kinda have live code editing now. I also implemented input recording, but currently, since the game is running way too fast, the input recording runs out of memory really fast because we are updating um, the recording way too fast. We are running at 600 frames per second currently, and that's way too much to save per frame if we have to record the inputs for each frame separately. So I think I will just limit the frame rate for now, since the frame rate currently doesn't represent how the game is gonna run later. So we need this call. I think it's Wiggle. I'm just gonna activate VSync for now. Mm-hmm. Alright, let's see. So we need this function. Let me clean up the tabs. As always, we have way too many tabs open. Let's move that over here and close the rest. You're gonna need OpenGL. Okay. Then let's look at the OpenGL headers and figure out what this thing does. So this is the, what's the different? Oh, that's get swap into. This is the function signature. We're gonna create a new type here. Oops. And then we're gonna query the proc address of this function down here. In theory, I don't need to return false here if that doesn't exist. It just means you can't set vsync on. But then again, this should always be available. And over here, we're just gonna assume that this function exists, and then I guess here we're gonna set the swap interval to 1, which enables vsync. Let's try it out. The max FPS is still very high. Weirdly. That's an interesting bug. So the min FPS are now 30. We are not hitting 60 frames, and that's why we get these frame skipped messages. Does the swap interval set my can't quite explain why it's 30 instead of 60. Well, let me check. It's 60. Vsync doesn't seem to be working. GL finish. Okay, let's try and call GL finish. Okay, that made it a little bit more stable, but we still are not hitting 60 frames, so I guess I can't. It might be because I'm streaming with 30 FPS, so that might be what's going on here. So in that case, I'm not gonna activate. So we're gonna target 60 FPS. So let's remove GL finish again. To do is needed if vsync is turned on. So we need GL finish. What else? Okay, let's recompile and see how the performance is like now. Alright, now we're always at least hitting 60 frames per second, and now the game isn't lagging behind. the reason the game previously had we were rendering two versions of the player character is because of how I'm doing frame rate independent movement, which is overdrawing. Let's see, update and render this. The problem here is over here. This is the part where we do frame rate independent movement, and do game is just the main game loop. But when we cross over a frame boundary, we have to call this main game loop twice in one frame, and that's why it's drawing twice the player twice, which shouldn't happen. So I guess we're gonna pass second boolean whether it's gonna render, and in this case this is just an intermediate step. We are not gonna render, we're just gonna render the final result, and then I need to make sure that no rendering takes place. This is the tile rendering. In the future I would probably separate updating and rendering, so that wouldn't become an issue, but currently everything is inline in this function since I'm still working on it. This is collision checking, that's nothing to do with rendering. Here we render, and this is gonna all be in enable render. So only if rendering is enabled is this gonna happen. Compile. So okay, it doesn't know what the player is. It's probably I copied too much. Okay. Now the overdrawing shouldn't happen anymore. One other thing I want to do is, as you can see, these frame skipped messages here. These are generated when at the beginning of the game we are clearly not hitting 60 frames per second because we are doing some loading. We're generating fonts and we're loading textures and a mesh. So that is why we're not hitting 60 frames for a couple of frames. And this also becomes a problem when I hit a debug break somewhere in the code, and when I'm calculating the elapsed time, that elapsed time will be a huge number because the main loop wasn't running while obviously we just stopped executing the program. So I will basically just clamp the elapsed time. So if elapsed time is greater than, do we have a target time here? No, double, which is this number, which is just 1000 milliseconds divided by 60. That is our target milliseconds that we want. And if elapsed time is greater than that, we're gonna set it to that. So basically, I'm making the game not be able to skip frames by doing this. Should I lock this? Let's see. This should potentially fix the frame skipped error messages. Yeah, they're gone now. But this means the frames per second calculations are wrong now, because they use the elapsed time here. So we are only gonna clamp the value that's getting passed to the game, actually. So we're gonna do like this. Okay, this basically fixes now a couple of issues that were left with the frame rate independent loop movement. Those were a couple of to-dos that were left over from yesterday. Okay, this to-do can stay, since this basically what I'm doing here, over here, clamping the elapsed time, is kinda a debug feature. Later on, I'm probably only gonna clamp this to 2 frames, so the game can only skip 1 frame. Currently it can't skip at all. Probably note, is this fine for production? Well, this should be to do then. Okay. Now, I found recently a nice tutorial site. This one. I'm just gonna follow one of these tutorials for, where is it? For diffuse lighting. This is the one I want to implement next. I don't care about ambient lighting. Well, let's just implement ambient lighting then. Graphics. So we're gonna give the render commands buffer and ambient value. And in the OpenGL layer, in the prepare render methods, we're gonna this doesn't take the render commands. Okay, here it happens. We're gonna set the ambient lighting by setting a uniform value, uniform 1f, 1fv, one f. What's the difference between those two? So 1f only sets one float and the v. Oh, here. Oh, they can set an array of. Okay, I get it. We only want to set one. We're gonna take the ambient value and set it to this one. So that means the OpenGL shader needs to keep track of the ambient uniform, which means you have to introduce an ambient uniform. Okay, let's see. Did he do that in the vertex shader or in the fragment shader? Fragment. This probably would have been fine to do in the vertex shader. Because I can just multiply the let's see, vertex shader. Oh, here it is. This is the source code for the vertex shader currently. I could just do this here. So the outputted vertex color is multiplied by the ambient color, which should have the same effect. I guess in the fragment shader I could decide to use the ambient lighting in a different way. Currently it would have the same effect, but in the fragment shader I can decide when to multiply the ambient lighting value. So I guess we're gonna do it in the fragment shader then. So this becomes our new fragment shader, which means we need to do this here. This way we get the ambient value, and when we initialize the render commands, its default value will be 1 for the ambient. Okay, let's compile and test it out. I shouldn't have changed anything currently, except oh, what was that? So why does this ambient is 0? Oh, that is wrong. Okay, I didn't do a full recompile. This didn't change anything. Not surprising. Now we will set the ambient value to something else. And the update and render function. So this should make everything darker by half. Maybe not. So let's see what happens here. Prepare, process, render commands. This is where we set the uniform. Ambient is 1. So me setting it here doesn't hold for some reason. Let's see. Clear. Why isn't that triggering? Source code is different than the original version. This is unexpected. Okay, the ambient lighting now also affects the alpha value, so that is an unwanted side effect. Wait, it's like this, right? In OpenGL RGBA. Okay. So this made everything darker. But I guess this also, the way I did it now, also affects the GUI. Interesting, why are they falling? Okay, I broke off something. So they are now also being rendered behind with geometry. Something went wrong really badly. Okay, the ambient lighting. I'm just gonna leave that one for now and think about it later. Doesn't really matter. Why doesn't this work? This build step doesn't create the DLL. Oh, it's doing that here. Oh, okay. So basically something went wrong in my build script. So if I'm only building with DLL, okay, we're not going into push D then. So this should happen regardless. Okay, so now if I build, this should be building in the right directory. Let's check. Okay, so the ambient light is 1 again, but we're still rendering behind the geometry. So I might have forgotten to clear the depth buffer. Set projection. Now I'm disabling depth testing, aren't I? So if depth testing is disabled, how is this happening? Then it's an ordering issue, I guess. Oh, here we are. Voxel. Okay, the voxel now processes the menu. Where is it? Over here. Okay, the menu is being processed before the geometry is rendered, so that's the issue here. You're gonna process the menu last. And this should fix the issue. Yeah. But this is kind of weird how the buttons are still being rendered after I minimized the group. But that isn't a big issue for now. I'm gonna leave that for next time. For now, we're gonna do lighting. I'm interested in diffuse lighting. Ambient strength and ambient color. Oh, okay. I guess I don't do ambient color. And a light color. I'm probably only gonna use a single light source for now, so let's use uniforms for that too. This will pretty much break the GUI code again. I guess I'm gonna have a secondary fragment shader for the GUI rendering that doesn't use lighting. That doesn't use lighting. So again, shader. Gonna take new uniforms here. Lighting, light color, and light position. Then in the init shaders, we're gonna get the attrib locations, or uniform locations in this case. Light color, light position. Then the render commands can again guess the light position can be float 3. Oh, in GLSL, those are vecs, not floats. Okay. Then when we are processing, you're gonna set the uniforms. So light color is a 4E. How do you set uniforms using a different format? Do I have to convert them to floats? Or can I pass? No, it doesn't. If I pass an int, it doesn't know that it's a color, so how could it do the... For vertex attributes, you can say that the color is a normalized integer, and in the shader it's getting turned into float values. But I guess for uniforms you have to do that manually, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, then we're gonna do it on our own. So we're gonna get a vec2 my color class. Let's see, how do I get the colors as a vector? Get color f. we get the light color, and then we set the light color here in RGBA format. And then we set the light position. And see, so this shouldn't have changed anything. Yeah, since we are not using any of that info yet. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, I need normals next. So we're gonna introduce normals. I think there's a packed normal type in OpenGL. Let me look this up for a sec. This one. To think, why is there a non-reversed version of this? I guess this, since we also want negative values. So 10 bits per value, and 2 bits at the beginning are ignored. Okay, let me try to get this to work. So we're gonna use packed normals. And 10 bits. 10 bits are 3FF. If you're gonna turn numbers into 10-bit values, number to So we're gonna get the packed value of x, or bitwise or that with the y. In what order do they need to go? Is it x, y, z or z, y, x? I guess we're gonna find out. How did I do it here? Oops. I did something similar with packing the colors. I guess I had masks for each component. Okay, I'm gonna do something similar. So let's declare a new type then. So this is gonna be a normal type then. So the x shift need an x, y, and z shift. X shift is 0. I don't know whether these are correct yet. We're just gonna try it out. Then the masks. Let's call them this. So the x is 3ff. 2, 4, 6, 8, yeah. Then the y mask is this value with 10 zeros. Oops. So 10 ones and then 10 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. FFC00. Z mask. Same thing with 10 more zeros. Can I shift here? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, the first two bits are unused, so this is correct. And it's 3FF again. Yeah. This turns in a number to a byte. So first we make it unsigned. Then we mask it. So packed normal would be turn it into an unsigned value and then we shift it like this. And we do this for each component. And this way I can change the shifting values around. This doesn't seem right. The Y mask and the Z mask are overlapping. Oh, okay. So the 0 at the beginning was wrong. No, they're not overlapping anymore. Yeah. Bits. Let me put this on the other side. We're gonna use a similar interface. I guess the important part here is that we are turning floating point values into 10-bit numbers. So in what format are they saved? Are these 10-bit numbers with a sign? Can they be negative? They need to be negative if I want to use them as normals. So okay, let's look this up. Okay, this is looking similar. Although I want to use that for normals and not the color. Okay, I want to use the int variant, so they are signed, I guess. Okay, this is fine. I want the int versions, so this isn't useful. Oh, there it is. Normals using this. Ten-bit signed twos complement integer values. And the W component is always 0. Usually. Or unused. I'm not gonna use it. Okay, packed structure like this. I don't like to use packed structs like this normally, but that might be the best way. Still, this doesn't fix the issue with how to make them negative properly. So I guess I need to manually implement 2's complement. Okay, so X, Y, Z, and then the 2 things. But then this is a different endianness, right? OpenGL uses this doesn't explain. What's this? Well, let's just assume there won't be endianness issues. So my masks are wrong currently. So the X mask is 10 ones. It's this number, FFC. Then we get 3FF. I think. 3FF, and then we get FFC again for Z. This is still valid. This just makes sure that the input values are 10 bits. And then we shift them to the right position and we OR them together. And since they are unsigned integers, this shift always shifts in zeros. And this needs to be 30 now. 10 is correct. And the Z shift is 0. No, it's 2. This is let's look it up. So to get the Z value, I would need to shift the whole value 2 bits to the right and then mask it. To get the Y value, I need to shift it by 12 and 22. So to make a number 2's complement, Doesn't seem to say. Two-bit signed 2's complement integer value. So it's a 1-bit number with a 1-bit sign. Ensure the fields you put in are scaled to -512 to 511. Does he do 10 bits 2's complement in that case? Really? Okay, they do the same thing here. This should work, but it doesn't. The order of bits in the bit field is not defined by the CSAN. This doesn't seem very useful then. But then again, in practice, it's the order you define. It's poker time. Hello, welcome to the stream. Okay, I'm using shift operators, but which is basically the same thing. I'm just doing it manually, but how to get the 2's complement out of a bigger so I want to turn a 2's complement number to a 10-bit. shit. Bit fields Bit fields are allocated within an integer from least significant to most significant bit, it says. It's only for Microsoft, so it's not portable. Tools complement. I am looking up how to do peg normals. In OpenGL, you can upload normals as where is it? Using this type where you peg each component XYZ into a single unsigned or signed integer where each component has 10 bits, but these 10 bits are stored as 2's complement in 10 bits. So I need a way to convert a floating point number to 10-bit 2's complement numbers. That's what I'm looking up. So so for positive numbers, I can just truncate them without a problem. But for negative numbers, I need to make sure that I do sign extension or sign truncation. This bit needs to stay. Okay. So I think it's kind of simple. But then I need branching. I need to check whether the number is negative and truncating. Can I somehow do this without branching? I can only do this without branching if I know that my compiler uses 2's complement. Since I can mask away the sign bit, shift it to the right position, yeah. So I guess then again, why wouldn't my compiler use something else than 2's complement? So given 3 floating point values, we will should I clamp them? Assume components are clamped within -1, 1. So assuming this is true, we can get the unsigned values, or I guess integer values, by multiplying this with Okay, if I multiply this with 511, that means I don't use the full range. Since 10-bit numbers can be negative 512, they go from negative 512 to 511. But then again, I think that little bit of inaccuracy isn't that much of a problem. Well, it could be a problem because I'm expecting the normals to be normalized, and negative numbers will then not be normalized. They will always be a little bit short in y. So if I do 512, for positive numbers it means I end up here, right? No. Oh, this is 512. So if I truncate this, it becomes 0. And if I do this, negative numbers can't reach 512. Yeah, negative 512 is a 1 with 9 zeros. Oh, I can't click on the bits. That's interesting. So this would be negative 512 in 10 bits. It's just for lighting for now. So I guess I will need to check the sign of this. Sign bit. Which means I'm branching, which I didn't want. Well, I guess first make it correct then. So if it's negative, we multiply by this. Guess these can be unsigned. No, they can't be unsigned. But I need to turn them unsigned in a sec. So the sign bit for 10-bit numbers is this thing. In hex it's 200. Yeah. And I need the shift value. So that's 31 minus 10, which is 22. Okay, x. The sign bit of the x value is turn the x value to an unsigned. That is the sign bit for 32-bit integers. It's this number. We mask this away. And then we return the normal, the packed normal for so this is sign bit. These are the original values. We shift the sign bit to where it needs to be in this 10-bit number. So that is this part, and then the bitwise OR. Like this. And then we return the packed normal, which just shifts each component into its right position based on the spec. Where was it? Did I close it? No, I closed it. Well, it's gone then, but I think this should be correct. One overload for vector type. Okay. Color. Now this uses the normal type, the packed normal type that we just created. Let's compile, not compiling. Oh, yeah. All declarations are not allowed in context per. So I could make this incredibly ugly. Or just remove the context blur. Which is unfortunate because most of the time I'm using normals that are axis aligned, which means they are constant expressions. So I would like them to be calculated at compile time. Hi Dial12, welcome to the stream. Okay, let's leave it like this for now and make sure that it's working correctly. So the game should be running. I didn't really change anything. Yep. So now let's change the shaders to take normals. And output the normal. I think I want these to be renamed. So frag normal, meaning these are the things that get passed into the fragment shader. I guess normals are vec4s. And just to check whether this worked, I will multiply the color by the frag normal, the x value of the frag normal, which means if I set the normal to 100, it means everything should be rendered correctly. So GL enable. I'm gonna cheat here. I'm not gonna pass anything. I'm just gonna set the vertex attrib. No, wait. With vertex attrib I can't use packed values. So this won't be a check, I think. Yeah, I can't use packed values here. Or here. Type. Oh, okay. So we're gonna use this. the signed version of this. Why isn't there a signed version? What's the difference here? Why doesn't it copy the thing in there? Okay. No explanation. Indicate that the arguments are stored as packed components within a larger natural type. Exactly. Okay, let's try this out. So I have my normal type, which is 100. Do I have the vertex attrib functions? Nope. So we need to get them from OpenGL. Let's get all of them. These aren't all of them. I guess these are the ones I'm actually interested in. So what's the difference between P1 and P2? A 1 in the name of the comment indicates that only one value is passed. So I need the P4 version. Why isn't there a packed I version? These are unsigned. No, there's no version 4. Well, fine. I just need this one. Okay, with this, we now have this function that I can call. We're gonna call it here. Let's see what where the takes the index. which I've not gotten. The index is this thing. Normal 0. The type it's normalized, and the value. Oh, interesting. Texture swizzle. I don't think I need them. Right, it's compiling, but I forgot to get the attrib location here. The compile shader failed to compile. Vertex shader failed. Cannot convert from in high P3 component vector of vec3 to 0.22. So the fragment shader, this thing. That should have been a vec4. Okay, now redefinition error. Oh. Here, this thing is gonna be out colored now. And we need this to bind to the frag location then. Right, that was the only location. Yeah. Okay. Alright, now it's compiling, but we are not seeing anything, so which means our pegged format is wrong. Let me just try out for F this version. So we're gonna set the attribute as for float and then see if the issue is something else. So this is our control now. So instead of calling this, why do I have this twice? Let's call it like this and then see. Now it's rendering, so the fragment shader is working. So we're passing in the normals wrong. If I set this to unnormalized, this should be completely wrong now. Wait, what? No, I didn't recompile. So no, or pack normals. I think these shifts are wrong. In fact, I think because the endianness is different. If it's the endianness, I can try this. Okay, let's try this out. Interesting. So we did use our pack normals and it was almost correct. So it might not be the endianness then. We might be shifting incorrectly. So let me try these. Okay, we were shifting incorrectly. That means... Did I read the spec wrong? I closed the spec, but let me... Yeah, where did I look that up? Yeah, so this is wrong. The way I'm doing it right now, it's PGRA. Yeah, I'm doing it like this. It's RGBA packed. Huh? Vertex data may be specified only in the first of these two formats. This doesn't make sense. But I am using this format and it's working. So let's try 0.5 then and see what happens. So everything should be half. Is it correct? Let's compare that with this. If this produces the same result, then yeah, it means it's correct. But then why is this packing correct even though OpenGL says it's not? Where is the spec that I read? What are the OpenGL specs called? The documentation for OpenGL is so confusing. You can't find all the information at one place. You have to look around so much. God damn it. 10.3.8. Packed vertex formats. Yeah, this is what I'm doing currently. Packed component layout for non-BGRA formats. What does that even mean? Are they talking about endianness? Well, seems to be, this one seems to be correct, which means my masks are incorrect now. Should be 3FF here, CFF here, and 3FF again here. and 2 bits at the top for the W. Yes, I can just specify it even though I'm not using it. So that would be C. Okay, let's try negative numbers. This is the interesting part. So this basically shouldn't change anything if I did it correctly. We should be rendering correctly, and we seem to be. So we can actually define negative 10 10-bit 2's complement numbers now. Since I did say that it was negative 1 and it actually did interpret it as negative 1, our pegged 10-bit number. So let's do negative 0.1, which means all the colors should be very dark now, or very light, since I'm also multiplying the alpha value. Let's compare with our control. So with this function we supply the 3 floats directly without packing. So if this is the same, it means our packing works correctly, yes. Okay, so we can now have packed normals. So I guess now I can enable the vertex arrays for the packed normals and supply them. So they are normalized. And they are floats in the shader. No, this is supposed to be this one. Okay, this should not render anything yet, because we are still multiplying our color with the normal over here. Get rid of this. Okay. Interesting. Where I did my where did my stuff go? The colors are correct, but the textures are gone. Okay, where did the colors go? I am doing the right lookup. I should be just passing zeros for the normal. Yeah, I didn't change. anything. Let's do full recompile. No, textures are gone. So what changed? Hmm. The meshes of the game are still being rendered correctly. That's because they don't have the normals enabled. Oh, I think I did an copy paste error. Yeah, here. I changed the texture coordinates to be pegged instead of the normals. Alright, everything's back to normal. Good, now we can continue with this tutorial. We have normals. Oh yeah, I'm not passing any normals in. Now I would like to have constants for the cardinal directions. Not cardinal directions, for the default axes, like the x-axis. I can't do constants here because I am defining variables, which is unfortunate. So I could inline everything and then it's gonna get incredibly ugly. And also this part here is not portable. Is there a standard C way of checking the sign, of getting the sign bit of numbers? C and sign bit. I guess the compiler could the compiler probably is gonna optimize this check here to be to return me the sign. I guess I could do this then. So the compiler is probably gonna do the right thing, but then this becomes a left shift of 10. Since this value is now between 0 and 1, I need to do this. So now it's portable without a branch, but I still have a branch here. And I can't do this as a const expression. Well, fine, I guess. I can cheat here. I can, since I only need I need a couple of functions to be const expressions, like um, this value here. This won't work because this isn't const expression. Yeah, but I can calculate this. I'm gonna cheat by looking up what the bits are, since the normals are stored as uint32s after I pack them, and then I'm gonna just hard set them to that value. So these are the 6 values that I actually need. Now I'm gonna break and look the bits up. And these are the values that I actually need. What do I call these? Normal X. This looks incredibly ugly if I write it like this. And now I'm mixing camel case with whatever case this is. No, it's fine. So the negative x-axis is the fourth one. Then the y-axis is the second and fifth one. And this one. Why is this 201 and this one is 200? I think I have a bug there. Right. Let's test something out. Is it? I think the problem is with this line. Let's just always multiply with 511, which I think should be wrong, but maybe I was mistaken. Right, let's inspect normals. No, it's still 201. So let's compare. I guess I could have copied like this, which is okay. It's actually not easier. So 1FF is correct. The negative version is 201 this time. And here it's 200 with the branching. 201. That can't be correct. Yeah, it's one too much. Should be 200. So I think I did indeed. But why is it 201? That's the difference between where's tools complement. Oh, it's just one off from the max value. So it would be minus 511 instead of 512. But even with this, even this version was off. Oh, okay, it was off because I had a bug there. Typos. Okay, let's recompile. Oh, so now the one should be gone here. It's 200. Yeah. I'm not sure how important that is, not being one off for negative numbers, because I'm introducing a branch here. And this version is one off. To do which version? Negative numbers are one off. Which in when renormalized to floats, it means that -1 maps to 0.99 something. And I need normalized normals that have a length of 1, which means there is an error there, and my calculations are inaccurate. But then again, most normals are these constant values, and I can calculate them correctly. And for arbitrary normals that I calculate like this, those might be fine if they are inaccurate. So let me make sure that these values are correct. So these are the values that are not off by 1 now. So for the positive one, it's the same, 1FF. The negative is this one, 200. It's also the same. This is the positive y-axis. Yeah, that didn't change. The positive z-axis, also the same. Negative x, I checked already. Negative y is different, so this needs to be 0. And negative z is also different. This needs to be 0. Alright, the off by 1 is now fixed for the constants at least. And I can remove this and use the off by 1 version. Which is fine. And now I can set the normals here. So the front face is the positive z, no, the negative z-axis. The top face is the positive y-axis. The bottom face is the negative y-axis. Right face is the positive x. Negative x. And positive z. Okay, now our boxes have normals. These are axis aligned boxes. These are 2D. I don't care about. Oh no, these also need normals. So there seems to be a version of Pushbox. Oh no, these are correct. The incorrect ones are push quad. They don't take a normal currently. So let's make them take a normal. No, these don't need normals. What I actually need to fix is the mesh generation for voxels. Generate here. This thing needs a normal, which it is gonna set here when building the quad. Alright, now I need to supply the normal. So the front face is the negative z-axis, back face the positive, right face is the positive x, left is the negative x, top face is positive y, and negative y. Okay, now the voxels should have correct normals. Let's test it by changing the fragment shader again. So we're gonna multiply by the x value. Okay, so only the the right and left faces have the x value of the normal set, and only they are visible. So okay, that seems to be working then. We are supplying the normals correctly, even for voxel meshes. Which means finally we can continue with the tutorial. So finally our things have normals. Okay, I have normals. I did this already. This I'm also already doing. Don't I need to multiply the normal with the projection? I guess not. I'm already setting the light position. the fragment position. So this is new. So the fragment shader needs the vault position of the pixel, I guess. In model space. I don't have a model view. It's pre-multiplied with the vault view matrix. Vault view projection. Can't I just do this? I guess not, but just gonna test it out. Normalizing the normal. The normals are already normalized that I'm using. For the light direction, the light position is this. You get the diffuse color and then ambient plus diffuse times the object color. So the texture, wait, how can he add the ambient to the diffuse if the ambient is a float and the diffuse is a vector? What did he define the ambient as? Oh, the ambient, it's the ambient color, not the ambient strength. I don't have ambient color, so this is the ambient color. So it's this plus the diffuse. Which ends up like this. No matching overloaded function found dot. What? Doesn't know dot? or this version 1.0. Still. Line 22. This line. Light color is vec 4, so this is a vec 4, diffuse. This needs to be this. So the alpha value is gonna get messed up. Alright, why can't I do dot? What's the difference between gen type and gen D type? Oh, it's double, probably. I'm not using doubles. So, what is this complaining about? No matching overloaded function found dot. It's dotting a vec 4 with a vec 3. Okay, that's the problem. This is the vec 3, this is also vec 3. I don't care about the W value, so this can be 0. So it gets masked away. Line 20. This line. It's already vec 4. No, it's vec 3. Yeah. Still what? Line 21. So it can't. Oh. Okay, why didn't change? Why nothing changed? Hmm. So I should be getting something like this. I guess I should have a way to set the light position. Okay. F is key pressed inputs. If I press the T key, oh, T is already taken, the R key, light position equals app voxel state position. Okay. No, doesn't do anything. Let me output the position of the camera. So the light position at the beginning is 0, 0, and then I'm setting it to different values. But no lighting. The lighting doesn't change. But the light position changing does work actually. The question is whether I'm setting the light position. I am. Let's make sure that the shader gets the right thing here. If I multiply this, so we shouldn't be seeing anything. Oh, I think I know what the problem is. It's this thing here. So I need the pixel position in vault coordinates and not in in whatever this matrix turns it into. It turns it into values that are between -1 and 1. Hmm. Still nothing. Okay, he is adding two colors to each other, but if the ambient color is already 1, full out 111, it means this will be clamped 1. So I think that was the problem. So now everything is black. And moving the light position doesn't help. No. So it's normalizing the light direction. Which is fine. It's then dotting the normal and the light direction. The light color is black, isn't it? Okay, there it is. The light color was black. Alright, in game, how does this look? Okay. Why is only the player rendered correctly? Oh, it's because I need the model matrix here. Okay. So then need a new uniform. And get the uniform location. Then when rendering the models, we need to upload the right matrix. Like this, and then where do I draw? Over here I need to set the model to the identity. since this version doesn't use model matrices. Okay, now on operand types. Right. Where is the shader? Shader. There it is. Okay. Still black. But the player model is lit somehow. But these models. No matter where the camera is, they're black. So if I remove some voxels here, do they have correct normals? Seems like it. Yeah, the backs are black. Okay, so why doesn't the game mode not light up? How do I render them? They get rendered right here. So they do get a matrix, which I do upload. So let's make sure that we actually get a uniform location for that. So maybe I'm not setting it. No, it's correct. So what seems to be the problem? Here it works. In the editor it's working. But then in the game everything is just black. I am uploading. Am I multiplying the matrix wrong? Shouldn't be. Let's do it like this. So I'm gonna try this first. If this doesn't work, I mean, if I was multiplying it wrong, then this should be also. Although no, that's not true. So let's turn this around. Do you know the syntax for this? GL uniform matrix. Yeah, I think I'm using it correctly. It's working with the voltage projection. The number and the command name are interpreted as the dimensionality of the matrix. 4 means it's 4 by 4, so 16 values. Yeah, my matrix has 16 values. I'm passing that in, and the count is 1. Yeah. The Boolean says whether the matrix is transposed or not. So whether I'm passing in row major or column major matrices. And I'm passing the matrices in the format that OpenGL wants. That's why it's false here. I don't need to transpose the matrices. So let's look up transpose. Yeah, that's what the Boolean is for. So I changed the order of the multiplication. Only the player is lighted correctly. Yeah, it's dependent on your matrix layout, JXG. So let me change one thing. Where do I set the light position? Over here. Interesting. Why doesn't it set the light position always? This is not dependent on in what mode I am, but for some reason when I'm in the game mode, pressing R doesn't change the light position. This value stays the same. Quick question, how do you know if you have your camera implements properly? Well, I can look around here. So that's how. I'm using the camera and it's working. So if it wasn't implemented properly, when I'm moving the mouse left, stuff would get scaled or translated somewhere else, or well, the geometry stays completely um, it stays static. It's not getting transformed incorrectly. So that's how. Well, you can output it to the screen. So currently I'm outputting the light position, right? So the origin of my coordinate system is this point here, right here. So if I am standing right there and set the light position, it should be very close to 0. Oh, sorry. The origin is up here. Wait, did I move around? Where's the origin? It's this corner here. I got disoriented. How can you be sure that the origin is where the origin is in your world? Okay, you set up a geometry with numbers, and then you could output the you could make each position a different color and output at which position um, each vertex is, and then you just compare with what you expected and where they end up. And if they end up at the current position, that means that your coordinate system is set up properly. So you have a model in your head, right, of the coordinate system. This is y, this is x, this is z. Then you set up your geometry by supplying the vertices in code, and if the geometry that gets rendered maps corresponds to what you supplied it with, then it's set up properly. If it's upside down, or if it's inverted in one axis, or if you thought the positive y-axis was going up but instead it's going down, then it's gonna get inverted, and that's how you can check where the problem is. There is a weird issue here. Oh, this is why I meant to do camera position. So now even if I'm in the game, I can reset the light position. So the player reacts correctly to changes of the camera, except the player is inverted. Yeah, that's... The normals of the top and bottom face are inverted. So if the camera is below the player, the top lights up instead of the bottom. So I have a inversion there. So are the... No. The weird thing is, these tiles are completely black, regardless of where the light is, even inside. So not even their normals are inverted. This is what I don't get. Let's see. So the frag position. I'm multiplying the position with the model. Okay, this multiplication is wrong. So this should just translate the position to where the model is. Still, these tiles are completely black. Might be because I'm rendering... Oh wait, I think I forgot something here. No. Okay, let's change... Where am I rendering the tiles? Down here. Here. Let me render a tile at the origin. So this should render a tile at the origin. There it is. Oh, it used the wrong texture. So this tile shouldn't be... Sorry. This tile shouldn't have any translation problems, since it's using the identity matrix. Interesting, now I can't state and render. So it's not the identity matrix. Is that what? How is this happening? I don't understand. Process render commands. So let me just not set any of these. So I definitely know that they are using the identity matrix. I'm basically now rendering all the tiles on top of each other. They don't react to the light position at all. But this one does, and the player does. Okay, where do I generate that mesh? Here, load voxel mesh from file. It's using the same algorithm, so the normals should be correct. This is the same algorithm that I generate the mesh for this guy. Oh, I think I know what the problem is. Ah, God. When I'm uploading the mesh to the GPU, I didn't enable the normals. The vertex attrib array call for the normal was missing. It's normalized. Recompile. No, it should be working. Except it's normal 0. So let me undo the translation thingy here. No, not this one. Here. Recompile. Cranky, how do you create window for OpenGL context? Do you use Winner API or something? Yes, I am. Let's see, where is it? Here. This is where I'm creating the window. Okay, game. Oh, there it is. There's lighting. And I can change the light position now. But still the top and bottom are inverted. Why is this always resetting? Okay, again. So the top and bottom of the tiles isn't inverted, just for the player. Ocelofan says, I wonder if I should use some helper library to create a window or learn how to work with Win API directly. I can't say. It depends on what you want to do. If when it comes to OpenGL, it's definitely easier to use helper libraries, or else you end up doing what I'm doing, where you need to import all these functions into your code base and then call Wiggle get proc address for each one. OpenGL is really it comes with a lot of boilerplate on Windows, so it's definitely easier to use a help library for OpenGL. For window creation, you don't necessarily need that. It's just this. It's just this. You only need to look up how to use register class X and create window EX. But OpenGL is cumbersome. You avoid using libraries to boost performance. I avoid libraries just because I enjoy doing things myself, and I want to learn how they work. That's why I don't use libraries. I don't have anything against libraries. I'm already using a couple of libraries, but other than that, right. Next, I want to introduce back the ambient lighting, since otherwise the back faces are way too dark. So ambient lighting, I had it in, but I took it out. Where's the fragment shader? There. So the ambient, this is the ambient strength. I don't use ambient color for now, so I need to okay, in the tutorial, which I closed, he is using ambient plus diffuse. Don't think that's gonna work out. Okay, now the light is very bright, and the back faces are normal colored. So I guess plus was correct. I only need to reduce the ambient light, the ambient strength. So instead of 1, use half of that. It's still very bright. But the back faces are now a little bit darker. I don't get one thing. Why is this change? I'm writing camera here. I'm recompiling. I'm going here. I'm doing debugging. Then I go back and it's gone. Now it's here. I don't get it. Adding the diffuse color and the ambient lighting doesn't work great. So he's basically having a dark ambient color, and that's why it's working out. But then, if you have a high ambient color, everything gets very bright. If I multiply them with each other, then the back faces aren't gonna change. So I guess I could clamp this. Yeah, how do you clamp in GLSL? Oh. Okay, now it doesn't get too bright. And the back faces aren't black. Okay, so this seems to work. Okay. I think I'm happy with this one. So if I set the ambient to 1, I guess now there won't be any lighting. Yeah, lighting doesn't do anything. Yeah, this is actually what I expected, since if you set the ambient lighting to completely white, it means everything is already illuminated from everywhere, so there shouldn't be any dark spots. And adding them together just means the light spots get lighter and the dark spots stay dark. So now let's try setting the ambient color to a dark color, and now the lighting should work as expected. Yeah, now it's the back faces are very dark again. Yeah. Right. What does this article say? One last thing. Yeah, this is about scaling the normals, which I don't use. Specular lighting. I don't think I want specular lighting, since then everything seems way too shiny. Materials. Yes, this is something I need to think about later when I have different assets that I might wanna light differently. Okay, this is not too interesting. I'm already using directional light. No, I'm using point lights. That's right. Flashlights. This might be interesting later. Alright, I want directional light. So changing let me test whether it's actually working correctly. So if I set the light here, both of these faces are light. This side should be black, yeah, and the other side of this one should also be black. Okay, so I am indeed using point lights. So if I want directional light, it means I'm not gonna calculate this using the light position. I don't even need the frag position. I'm just gonna supply the light direction directly. So let's say the light is coming directly from the left. Does this mean it's coming directly from the right? I think so. So basically everything should be now lighted from the right, yeah. So this is directional light then. Everything is lighted the same way. Lit the same way, lighted. Yeah. Yeah, the position is no longer necessary when using directional lights, only the direction. So I think I want a mixture of two in game. And then shadow mapping later on. Okay, I'm gonna take a short break. And then we're gonna continue with the code. See you in 10 minutes. Alright, I'm back again. So let's see where we left. Okay, light. Oh yeah, I changed it to directional light. I should change it back. Okay, so there is lighting, but it interferes with the orthogonal rendering, which doesn't use lighting, which I am using for the GUI. That is a very funny bug. Well, I would like to disable lighting for orthogonal rendering. So we are gonna have two sets of shaders. One for the in-game rendering and one for the um, GUI rendering. So I should change the name of this to in-game vertex shader source, and this becomes in-game fragment shader source. Yes, I'm gonna make a new file with the shade for the shaders. I could put them in their own files instead of inlining them into CPP, but I guess it's fine for now. So this is the in-game shader, this is the GUI shader. We don't need the model matrix, you don't need normals, you don't need the frag position, you do need the frag color and text code. This stays. Yeah, like this, and then you don't need these. You do need the sampler, color, and the texture coordinate, and the output color. So we're gonna get the texture color and return the fragment color times the texture sampled color. Yeah. Okay, this should be fine. Now we're gonna compile that. Init in-game shaders. Right, actually, let's write second function. So this becomes in-game shaders. And then we have one for the GUI shader. This becomes in-game shader. Where's the context? Okay. And then we have one more struct for the GUI shader. Which only has these attributes. OpenGL context. Okay, it already has the GUI shader. These stay pretty much the same, except when we get the locations. It's compiling, but we are not using anything yet. Then when we set the projection to orthogonal, we're gonna switch to using a different shader altogether. So this becomes prepare in-game shader, render, sorry. And then we have the GUI render, which then uses the other shader. So the GUI shader position stays, text code stays, but we disable this one. Wait, I don't need to disable it. It doesn't even exist. Okay, now when we change the projection, we will also, call this function. Okay, what's the error? Output parameter location has specified an invalid value for invalid value 3. Okay. So GM, this one. Okay, how am I gonna fix this? So I guess I will have independent locations for stuff that's shared. Okay, that's all of them, I think. Chilean from 1F. Chill uniform 1F. Where do I use that? The ambient. Yeah, that's only valid if the current shader is context. Prepare in-game render. That's only correct here. But then again, I don't have these values at that point, so So we will only enable them if we are using the perspective matrix. Okay, now we have lighting and the GUI at the same time. But the lighting doesn't get updated now. Which means there is a bug here, and I think it's this one. Yeah, I need to change this function. So let's see, context. So the shader is gonna store the values. This is the wrong shader. So it's gonna store the light position, the light color, what else was there? The ambient strength. I guess I should call this ambient strength to be correct. Light color, light position. Yeah. And then we are just gonna set the shader values. And these go to prepare render, in-game render. So now I can set these up correctly. Oops. So this becomes shader ambient, shader light color. This is still incorrect because these two things have the same name. So I'm gonna put that in a struct like this. And then when preparing the in-game render, we say this. Let's compile. This is ambient strength. I guess the shader should be updated too. Okay, it doesn't know what ambient strength is, since I didn't call it ambient strength before. Okay, this is updated. And this became ambient strength. Right, good. This is reacting to the light again, and the GUI is unaffected by the light. That's what I wanted. So interesting, where did the GUI go? Oh, I closed it, okay. So let's see if saving and loading still works. Save, new, load. Okay, it's working still. Okay, am I using the same speed whether I'm in in-game mode or Vertex editor mode? Yeah, okay. I just, for a second I thought I was moving slower when I'm rendering more, which would mean there's a bug in my frame rate independent movement, but it doesn't seem like it. Okay, so I wanted to do simple lighting today. We did exactly that. We fixed the GUI at the same time, the lighting of the GUI. I have two sets of shaders now. Tomorrow I'm gonna work on the collision detection more, and I'm gonna implement jumping since we can only move left and right currently. And I want to implement the player model instead of this blue cube. We're gonna use a correct player model, and at the same time use a couple more interesting tiles, I think. So tomorrow, more collision code and updating the player model. So if you're interested in that, please tune in tomorrow. I'm finished for today. We were streaming for 4 hours. Thanks for watching and see you tomorrow. And don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Twitter to get notifications on when I'm streaming next. But I'm gonna stream tomorrow 6 p.m. GMT. So see you tomorrow. And thanks for watching.